Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. We've only done this once before. I tried to make this a regular thing, but we're doing a Sunday sit-down style. Jeff Cabana and I are reunited once again.
Yay.
And it feels so good. No, I'm just... but, I figured every time we got together, we'd do one of these kind of podcasts. And luckily, since the last time we met, I got a video interface and...
Right.
How we can stream these things. I mean, I guess we could have streamed them before through the webcam, but that would have been a little jank.
Yeah, right.
So.
It's a little rough in today's day and age.
Yeah, pretty much. But excited to sit down, be back in Roswell for a little bit. These trips are always quick because as small of a town as Roswell it's fucking expensive here.
Right. It's because it's basically a desert isle in the desert.
Yeah.
We're landlocked, but still it's like 3 hours to the nearest anything.
Yeah, and it's like I know I have an open invitation every time I come through to stay with y'all, but that you guys are just so packed. It's like one more would be like, okay, this is too much.
I get it. Yeah, with all the kids and the animals I got in my house.
Well, and plus your two dogs don't like me.
I don't care. It's not that they don't like you. They're just fucking weirdos.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's one way to put it, right?
Yeah, well, they still bark at my kids' friends when they come over, and they've been coming over forever.
That's fair.
Yeah, so
they're just psychotic.
Kinda, but they're not aggressive, I mean, they won't bite you.
The little one tried to.
Oh, well, yeah, no, she will.
The little one tried to. Luckily, I had the baggy pants down about my shin, and she just grabbed my pants.
Yeah, she's a little butthead.
A little feisty.
Yeah.
Feisty. So how's everything been going?
Not bad. Just, working music and sleep and family.
Fair. How's GDP been?
Good. We're doing really well. We got a big announcement coming up soon. We haven't made it public yet, so I can't really.
Yeah, because the other person hasn't made it public yet.
So. Right. But yeah, we got some big news coming up. We're going to be opening up for another world famous band.
Nice. Do you know when that's coming, or
that'll be in December?
Well, no. I know that, but do you know when they're going to officially announce it?
Sometime this month, I believe, or towards the end of the month.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to give it a little bit because they already announced a couple of the openers, but we're getting added in. So
that's going to be a packed bill.
I mean, 4 bands. That ain't bad.
So
it's a Saturday after Christmas, so a lot of people are off, and
fair enough.
Should be okay.
Fair enough.
We'll start it early.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess it'd be no different than wasn't Saliva? Wasn't that right around Christmas when they came through, or was that?
Yep, that was it was before. I think it was early December last year.
Okay,
I believe.
Yeah, because I remember they came through, and then wasn't it also they came through for Libfest or right before Libfest?
Not here, no.
Okay,
because they've only been here once.
There was a reason. There was one time that I came through, and I came through specifically to see them, and then I extended out the trip to stay.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it wasn't them. Maybe it was Red Jumpsuit.
I think it might have been Red Jumpsuit Apparatus.
Yeah, it might have been Red Jumpsuit that I did.
Yeah.
That, so
another world famous band I've opened for.
Yes. Twice? No, not twice. You haven't opened for them twice.
Yeah, it was twice.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they came back through.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a year and a half apart or something like that. And they really enjoyed us the first time when we opened. That was the first time we got to meet them. And when they came back the second time, they had hit up the venue owner and said, hey, those guys still around from last time? And sure enough, we were. So
well, I mean, that's the thing about Roswell is their bands are always still around.
Right.
For the most part.
I mean, yeah. And, it's kind of cool, too, because now that we've opened up for a handful of bands, and I noticed like this past summer, a lot of the bands we opened for were on bills together.
Yeah.
At different festivals and stuff. So it's like, maybe the word will get out about us. Kind of what I'm hoping,
Some people are talking and
right. Be like, hey, if you go to Roswell, they got a great band that opens, and they always pack the place and sell a lot of tickets.
That's the big thing.
Right. And it's not a lot to ask, if you want to open up for like these bands that are, world famous, they tour everywhere. and stuff. You got to sell tickets.
Yeah,
you know,
you have to be able to.
Right. We generally sell between 40 and 50 tickets. We've had once or twice where it was like high 30s, you know, but we still got really close to 40. I want to say that Saliva show was one of the ones that we low 40s, high 30s we sold, and that's because it was around Christmas.
Yeah,
and it's just a tough time of year, you know.
That, and I vaguely remember it being an odd day, or no, it was a Saturday show, wasn't it?
I believe so. Either Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. I don't know. All this shit just kind of
adjust my headphone.
Oh, you're good. It's one of those deals where it's like I haven't been here since October, and so everything just kind of like I don't remember.
Right. I'm bad at timelines. I remember what happened, but I couldn't tell you where and when.
It's like I can recall specific events, but if you're to ask me like, oh, hey, when did that? It happened. Trace it back. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
So.
And then, of course, recently, back on July 3rd, we got to open for Power Man 5000.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Yeah,
that was amazing. It was cool getting to talk to the lead singer for a couple minutes and tell him, I also grew up in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And it was a cool little connection.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to try and make it out for that show, and then it just didn't end up happening. And it was,
right. And the band that went on after us, but before Power Man, Tantric, they were really cool. They really liked us. There's a chance we might end up doing a small section of touring with them. They talked about, hitting them up and maybe getting on a tour with them.
Nice. That's cool.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of touring, we were talking about this off record a little bit. Well, I mean, everything I say is always on record just because I feel like I live stream more than anybody ever.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, other than the video game Twitch streamers, because they'll live stream for forever and a day.
Right.
But, we're trying to do the live podcast as a tour of some sort.
Right.
Leading into, I originally wanted to try and get one off this year, but it's just not going to happen. It's going to we're going to have to try and find funding somewhere, whether get a sponsor. But
so if you're watching and you got money.
right.
Like our content.
It's one of those things where they're out there. Because I was reading this article about this podcast that they get like 30 views of a podcast, but they closed a $15,000 sponsorship deal.
Jeez.
And it's like,
how?
Whoever your sales rep is, or whoever you got doing your whatever, let me fucking know.
Right.
Because that would be sick. Like a $15,000 like even if that's for like a year, that covers a tour. We could do a 10-day tour and cover it and not have to worry. Because like I know work is kind of a issue, but luckily the way your schedule kind of works is we could still take roughly a 10-day tour and you're only missing 5 days of work.
Right. And I got PTO now. Going into next year, I'll have even more. Yeah. Because I'm hitting that 5-year mark. Yeah. So
that's the thing is even at my job is now they're starting to roll over up to 5 days.
Oh.
So it's like I'm not in a rush to use any. Like I'm going to use them because I've got plans. But if like a couple of them stick around.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
No, we got the use it or lose it policy.
We had that for the longest time.
Yeah, so I try to use mine up, man. It's part of your pay.
Yeah.
It's my time. I'm taking it.
Oh, yeah. It's the first time that I had it, I think I had all my PTO used up by like July.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
right.
But then again,
I'm stuck working the rest of the year.
Then I got but that was during the time where I only had like 10 days.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of like, fuck,
Right.
It was different company, different times. And so it was just like, all right, 10 days. Here we go. Let's do it.
That's why I take off. Like if I have a gig, I take that day off now.
Yeah.
Kind of getting older, and I can still handle working a full day and playing a gig in the same night, but I don't like to.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if I could take it off and get paid for it, well, why not?
Yeah.
That way I get on that stage at 100%, not like, I'm tired, I worked all day, because my job's very physically demanding.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. I like being a grown-up, having PTO, having money,
It is cool. It is really cool.
Yep.
And then we got some big podcasts coming up. That's gonna be.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
That's gonna be wild. It's interesting because ever since CMA Fest was kind of like the legitimizer for us.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're hanging, not hanging, but you're trading blows with like some not ginormous names,
right? But bigger,
pretty big, like kids that'll be Jelly Roll in 5 years. Like we're talking that kind of situation. Like,
and I'm glad you did that because, I think it's really cool. But I don't listen to country, and I don't honestly, I was looking through the list and stuff, and I'm like, damn, dude, I don't recognize a single name on there.
Yeah. Well, the one that was really interesting was when the yodeling kids sat down.
Yeah,
like, that one was.
I gotta watch that one still. I don't know how I missed that one. You were telling me about it.
Yeah,
but for some reason I haven't watched it.
Well, it's also like it happened like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7.
Oh,
it's an older video.
Oh, okay.
He was. I was in Tallahassee when I was living in Tallahassee when it popped off. I think maybe late 2017, 2018, somewhere in that ballpark. And he did his video, and then he got super famous, and then he started getting featured on, like, this was right around the time that Lil Nas X was doing his Old Town Road.
Oh yeah.
That had like 800 different remixes.
Right.
He was one of the features on one of those remixes, and that was kind of his launch into his music career.
Okay.
And then I think
that's how it is in that world now.
Yeah.
You just get on the right feature, and that's it for you.
Yeah. And then I think from there, he kind of tried to lay low for a little bit until he was ready to kind of pursue his own thing.
Yeah.
And now I was watching a video of one of his shows. He looks like a little Elvis up. Like he's got those Elvis. He does the Elvis hip thrust. All that stuff.
Yep.
The girls are going ape shit, and it's like this kid is like 17 years old. You chill the hell out, you 22-year-old creep. It's just like, oh boy, it's so funny.
Yeah.
But no, like I was saying, it was one of those deals where it was like the big solidifier because a lot of the people that were bigger names, when I contacted them like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later saying, hey, thank you, appreciate it.
Right.
Here's here's the podcast that we did. It'll be up this day, all that stuff. Like, oh yeah, hell yeah, man, let's do it again. And it was like, let's do it again.
Yeah.
And when you're getting people that have 100,000 followers on Spotify,
right?
We're talking Spotify,
right? That's a harder pull than social media.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, so we're doing something right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what we're doing right, but we're doing something right. And so, like, we'll go up. We've got a couple up in Dallas that we'll do over the next month or so.
Yeah.
And so that'll be cool. That'll be fun. And then, what's the dude's name we got on Wednesday from the Oak Ridge Boys?
Oh, I forget. I'm so bad with names, man.
It's one of those things where I keep telling, because like the Oak Ridge Boys are a big, like, freaking big name.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
I've actually heard of them.
William Lee Golden. That's who we got.
Okay.
And it's one of those things where it's like everybody they may not know the Oak Ridge Boys music, but they've heard the name Oak Ridge Boys.
Right.
Like it has this weird transcendence in time.
Yeah. It kind of rolls, across the tongue.
Yeah.
Like it's a good name.
Yeah. So we got that coming up on Wednesday, and that'll be fun. And then day 80 or something. I'm trying to get out 100 podcasts in 100 days.
Yeah.
And we're like day 82, I think.
Nice.
Or 84. I don't remember. I have to
Heck
look.
yeah.
But, it's just one of those things where it's like trying to keep the momentum going. We came off of CMA Fest, and I showed you the impressions we were getting.
Yeah.
And it's like, the impressions are very up and down because impressions and views are two different things, but impressions are the amount of people your podcast is getting placed in front of, like how many people are finding your podcast.
Okay.
So the fact that yesterday we had 15,000 impressions, that's like
pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know what spikes them and what doesn't spike them.
Right.
But obviously
gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
Key.
Yeah. I keep trying to figure all that out, and it's just like, cool. But like, we've had like just the last 28 days alone. I keep saying 30, but realistically it's 28 because that's how they all do it.
I didn't mean to move the whole chair.
Oh, you're fine. But for over the last 28 days, we're at like 60,000 impressions, which is like, hell yeah, that's fucking sick.
That is.
But yeah, no, so Live and Amplified's doing good. I'm glad we're getting a chance to sit down and chat a little BS. And,
been a while.
Yeah. How's when's your next confirmed show? I know you.
We got a couple this month outside of Roswell. We're playing the 20th and the 21st. The 20th, we're playing the first night of Harvest Fest.
Okay.
Which is in Tularosa.
Okay.
It's a yearly thing. I forget how many years they've done this, but man, they got great turnouts and a lot of good like metal bands and stuff. Like we're really happy to be included this year and get a chance to play it.
Is it a lot of it? That's more just like local people, right?
Yeah, New Mexico.
Yeah.
They do bring in a few like from like West Texas sometimes and stuff like that. I got to go through the list and check out. I know a few of the bands, and they're mostly from that area.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be pretty fun. And then on the 21st, we're playing in Carlsbad. I want to say they call it September Fest.
Okay.
Something like that. It's kind of like they shut down like a part, like a street and stuff, and blockade it and everything. Put up a stage, and we'll be playing like mid-afternoon for that one, which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
Because we're not like heavy metal or death metal or anything, but we're a very loud, heavy rock band, and so that time of day is like, come on, people, let's wake up.
Right. Let's do this.
I'm cool with it, though, because I got more energy at 3 in the afternoon than I do at like 9, 10 at night.
They're not requesting you to play like a toned down set or anything?
Nope. Full on. They know who we are and what we do. The girl that booked us, I believe it's a girl. Sorry if it's not. But the person that booked us knows of us and has worked with us before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, we played Libfest at 3 in the afternoon, and then Jet Black, really awesome blues musician, went on right after us.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, because for something like Libfest, you were talking about how you guys were kind of getting razzed about not being the last band to go on or whatever.
Right.
But a show like that, you almost need two main headliners.
Right.
And like any show like that, basically what they do is they'll break it in half, and then you'll put one headliner on in the middle of the day.
Right.
So in that way,
you keep your turnout moving.
Yeah, and so in that way, you're not like everybody's coming in at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Right.
If people want to come in at 2 to see you guys, 3 to see you guys, 4 to see Jet.
Right.
And then stick around, cool, that's great.
Yeah.
But by stacking it, when you have, would they have 12 bands, 14 bands?
12, 14, somewhere around there, yeah.
And when you have a band lineup that big,
right, 12 hours.
Yeah, you
to
have
do it.
You have to stack it in half.
Right.
You have to. There's no way.
And this is the third year, I believe, for Libfest, third or fourth year.
I thought it was the 5th year.
No, it hasn't been going that long. But
no, it happened.
Let's see. No, this is the fourth.
2020 was the first year.
Right. So this is the fourth year.
2021, 5th year. If it started in
24.
2020, 2021, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, maybe it started in 21 then. I don't know. I have to go back and check, honestly.
Yeah.
I know we've played it every single year.
I was here for a couple of them.
Right.
I was here for...
We came to like the first two.
Came to the first two, and then I've missed every one since.
Right.
Because one year it was raining.
Yeah, I remember that year. They had a little tent set up out back for the artists and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I came in 2020 because we were talking about doing... That was when we were kicking off the radio thing.
That's right.
That's right around the time we were kicking off the radio thing. And then 2021, I came out after... Maybe it was the first time I came out after Mom had passed.
Yeah.
Or one of the
Possibly.
one of the first times. And then I think the other time was... Yeah, I think this is the 5th year.
Oh. I'd have to check.
I mean,
I know it was
I've got Facebook right here.
I know it was on the ad for it, what year we were on. But no, because I know traditionally the last band to play is considered the headliner.
Yeah.
So in the past, we were the headliner, and we played really late, like 11 o'clock at night. And what we found, though, is we basically ended up playing to an empty room at 11 o'clock. Not completely empty.
Oh, fourth annual.
Oh, fourth. Right. Okay. So, some of the other bands would stick around. Some of our fans would still be there. But a show that starts at noon, and goes all day and all night, by 11 o'clock at night, most people have already had, their drinks and stuff. They've eaten. They get tired and they go home, So this year when they put us at 3, I was like, we've been there every year. We don't have to be like the last band to go on. And, traditionally, from what I've seen, is that we have a bigger crowd, say, between 3 and 6 than any other part of the day. That's when, because you have a lot of the people left over that came to see their friends play early on, like the acoustic acts and stuff like that. And then you have a lot of the people getting in a little early, like the people that wanted to see Jet, the people that came out to see, Revelation, and a few other bands that played after us. So it's kind of cool. You get that middle ground, and you get a lot of crossover.
Well, and luckily, not luckily, but Josh is really smart in how he books things.
Right.
He knows the later in the day, you're going to want the more dancey stuff. So, I'm guessing like JD and the Badlands went on last?
No, they didn't even play this year. It ended up being my buddies, Barely Breathing.
Okay.
They basically became the headliner. Man High was supposed to, friends from Albuquerque.
Okay.
They were supposed to play this year, but unfortunately had a family emergency just a day or two before and had to drop out.
Okay.
But, Barely Breathing did great. I stuck around for the whole show. I stayed from beginning to end that whole day. I made sure I watched everybody's set, and clapped for him and everything. I wanted to. It's not just about playing the show. It's about supporting my friends and other people in the music scene and stuff like that as well.
And luckily, it seemed like it was all good vibes.
It was. This is honestly probably my favorite year so far. Don't get me wrong. We've had great turnouts in the past and great lineups and great bands, but this year was just amazing, man. Everyone was hugging. Everyone was like, so happy to see each other. There was no drama. Like, it was really good. It really was.
You mean there was no drama involved in the Roswell music scene?
Yeah. I just, and I'm not going to name any names, but a couple of bands didn't play this year, and it was just, the vibe was amazing from beginning to end.
You mean the band that can't even fully commit to being a band?
There was only one band that kind of, annoyed everyone this year, and I won't mention who they are because I'm not trying to hurt anybody's career or anything like that, but they took 45 minutes to set up, which is a little ridiculous. We ended up having to change the lineup around and have someone go on early to make up for it. Because you can't have an hour of dead silence and no bands playing during a whole day music festival. That's how you lose people. At
that point, you gotta put up an acoustic act.
That's what they did.
Yo.
Yeah. Well, we were running 2 stages this year again.
Yeah.
And so they were doing back and forth, and so they just had that stage go on till these guys were ready.
Yeah.
And you guys know who you are. You got to work on that, getting on and off the stage a little bit faster. That's something we work we actually rehearse that.
Well,
breakdown setup
at 45 minutes working on it. It's not even working on it. It's you gotta give a shit.
Right. Well,
if it's one of those deals where they're taking a little, they're taking 20, 25 minutes to get on and off stage.
Yeah, even that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous, but they're at least trying.
Right.
They're at least moving with intent. Whereas if you're taking 45 minutes to get on and off stage, you don't give a shit.
Right. And, 15 minutes is more than enough, and that's what most promoters leave between acts. And I had volunteered to leave my drums on stage all day, so the drums were backline, so there wasn't a full switch over every time. But it was way too long, and I know the sound guy wasn't happy about it, and a lot of people weren't happy about it. But they brought a whole production. They didn't want to use my drum kit. They had a whole electronic kit that they brought up. Now I understand bands will use a tablet, for lyrics and stuff like that. But they had an entire teleprompter on the stage.
That's hilarious.
It was way overkill. They had all these processing banks set up with laptops on top and stuff. And as far as I could tell, all this dude was playing backing tracks.
Yeah,
I couldn't. I don't know, man. It was just overkill for what they do, and kind of left everyone dude, come on. Yeah. But other than that, it went great. And even that didn't really cause a bad vibe. It just kind of messed up the order a little. kind of threw things off. But other than that, like the whole night was amazing. A lot of hugs, a lot of love.
It's one of those things where I know they'll probably continually get gigs there.
Yeah.
But it's almost a situation where it's like, put them on first. Like, so in that way, them taking 45 minutes doesn't matter.
Right.
Well, I mean, it does, but
they got time.
Yeah. And as long as they're not taking 45 minutes to get off stage.
Yeah. No, like every musician that was in the building ran over there and like helped them get off stage because obvious reason.
Yeah.
They're older gentlemen too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw that out there. If they were a bunch of 20-year-olds, I'd probably blast them a little harder for that.
Yeah.
For what they did.
Yeah.
But they are like older than me.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, I mean, even
I get it.
setting all this up, it didn't take us 45 minutes.
No. No, not at all.
20 minutes maybe, and we're just screwing around a little bit.
Right.
Like,
well, and if that's what you do, that then you figure out how to do it faster. Like your thing is setting up this whole production and stuff, and you've done it multiple times, so you're good at it.
Yeah.
You know, same with like us. We've broke down and set up. I know how to stage all my stuff so I can get on and off stage as fast as possible. I'm the drummer, so I bring the most.
And luckily, I try and keep everything we need right on top. So it's just like should be everything right there, and like. It's going to get to a point where all the power cords and all this stuff, like how I have all the mics and some of the stuff in its own pencil bags, I'm going to find a little bit bigger bag to put like the longer cords and all that stuff in there and just be like, okay, those 3 bags come out, then we need this interface, this plug, this, that.
And that's how our stuff is set up. Everything's for like ease, like, you know what I mean? Everything's like organized extremely well. We know where it is. Like everything has like a stage, like how it gets put on stage and set and stuff. It's just, if you're going to play live shows and whatnot, you got to get that under control.
Yeah.
Set up and breakdown is just as important as your set. And I'll stand by that.
Yeah.
Being able to get on and off that stage as fast as possible is just as important as having a good set.
Yeah.
And a lot of musicians got to learn that.
Oh, for sure.
For
sure.
But I encourage people. I try not to browbeat people or things like that about it. I'm just like, hey man, you got to work on it. Just the same way you practice your set and perfect it, you should practice that too.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, LibFest. Other than that, I was supposed to.
Great turnout, great year.
Because that was 2 weeks ago, right?
A couple weeks back, 24th of August.
Yeah, because that's when I was originally supposed to come out.
Yeah.
And then it's just like
it got pushed. Yeah.
I was just, finances are just this bitch of a thing that exists.
Right.
It's like
I ended up losing my voice the next day. So honestly, if you had come out that weekend, we wouldn't have got much done the next day. Because you know how I am, like in like stuff like that. I'm super social. I'm talking to people. I'm cheering for the bands, yelling. All sorts of stuff. And I just talk nonstop all day to everyone and everyone.
Yeah.
So, lost my voice.
Hey, it happens.
It happens to me quite a bit. But
it's cool. It is what it is.
I'm a talker.
I can tell.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I want to bring you to CMA Fest because especially even if we get it to, because the whole point would be to get it to this where we're live streaming throughout the entire day.
Right.
Because CMA Fest had really good internet. CRS doesn't have that good of internet.
Yeah.
But CMA Fest had amazing internet.
Yeah, it's in their interest.
Yeah. So getting it to live stream like this, like they give us a decent sized table, they give us a decent sized booth,
Nice.
And then even if you're not in the booth all the time, but just out walking around and like, hey, like, because there are times where we have downtime, so it's like, go
find people.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that.
That's CRS was also really good about that. But luckily, the way CRS was kind of set up was musicians would come in and they have to walk right past the booth, every booth. And so it's just kind of like if they saw that you weren't doing anything, somebody would stick their head in and be like, you free? Yep, come on in,
Let's do it.
So it happened to me a couple different times.
Cool.
So.
Hell yeah.
One thing I wanted to do here, I didn't run this one past you, but I think you'll get over it.
I like surprises.
We're coming up on year 9 anniversary of Live and Amplified.
This thing's as old as my marriage. Just celebrated my 9th anniversary recently.
It is fun. And my pants are unzipped, but that's okay.
Oh, man. Hold on, guys. No, just kidding.
I just looked down and I was like, oh, my zipper.
Just because of the way the camera angle is, I'm going to mess with them.
Right. I wanted to quiz you a little bit on the history of Live and Amplified.
Okay.
Well, I had questions written down. Hold on a minute. All iCloud. There we go. Hold on. Sorry. I should have had this ready, but, you know.
I get it.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to ask you just 5 random questions.
Okay.
And we will just kind of see how well, because obviously it's been a while since we've sat down together, but it's also been a while since we've been out on the road.
Yeah.
So
since before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I'm going to ask you 5 quiz questions that I totally have the answers to.
Oh, all right. Well, then you're cheating. No, I'm just kidding.
Basically just different things that we've accomplished.
Okay.
So how many different states have we visited as Live and Amplified?
Oh, okay. So
and bonus points if you can name them.
Oh, jeez.
And I went through it.
That doesn't include states we like drove through on the way, just like where we set up.
Where we set up and we recorded.
Okay.
It's not as many as you'd think.
I'm gonna say 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
I was counting it.
I mean, where it gets interesting is, do we count the time that we stopped in northern Arizona for the GDP documentary thing?
No, you mean
or not
DRP.
DRP documentary.
Nah, because we didn't really like.
And that I'm not even 100% sure if that was even in Arizona.
Yeah, it was really close to the line. No, because we didn't really like set up and do like our thing there.
Yeah,
we just kind of like had stuff happen there, I guess. Like,
yes,
and that was about that.
How many podcasts have we released?
Oh, dude, I couldn't even tell you. It's got to be like over 1,000 at this point.
Not quite.
Oh.
Not quite. 938.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I was close.
Yeah, we're at 938.
I was like, damn, we got to be approaching 1,000.
Yeah.
We got to make sure we get a really good one for the 1,000th.
I was looking at that because
you got to line it up the right way.
I was trying to figure that one out, but
right.
It's just kind of like we rebranded the podcast
we did.
like at the end of last year.
Yeah, well, we've rebranded a couple times now.
Well,
we've changed format, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but
not
what I ended up doing was at the end of last year, I basically decided that we have Live and Amplified as the umbrella brand,
right? And then individual shows underneath, individual formats, and
if we have
media,
I really want to get the idea of a radio station off and running,
right?
So that's Indie Fusion, right? Just
right,
different things.
You got the Hoedown Showdown,
yes, which my dad thought that was a Miley Cyrus thing, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Did he just call her a hoe? Nah, just kidding. Don't sue me.
Is that what she's doing? No,
I don't know. Everyone's suing everyone for everything now.
Yeah, for sure. How many? Okay, so we're going to continue with this nice little quiz.
Okay.
How many different countries have we had guests from? Now, this one may surprise you.
Well, I know there was a couple times we did long running shows streams during the pandemic, and we had people from all over the damn world during those. All right, I'm gonna go with 18.
No.
What?
No.
How many?
33.
Oh, geez. All right.
U.S., Australia, Canada, Mexico, New Zealand, Portugal,
damn,
France, England, Scotland, Ireland, Iceland, Sweden, Poland, Germany, Italy, Norway, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan.
Wow. Shit, my brain froze. Russia?
No, not Russia.
Bummer.
See, I'm starting to get on Vamper now.
Yeah.
And so now we're like really getting into the weeds of some of these countries. We're starting to get some people from like Africa and stuff.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And it's like that'll be cool because I think Africa's the next like big hip country to kind of explode. So yeah,
they're up and coming.
Yeah, they're like because that's where a lot of the companies are like going and putting a lot of money into and all that stuff. It is what it is.
See what happens.
Yeah. And then the final question I have for you: who is our most streamed podcast? Actually, can you name 10 of our podcast interviews?
I mean, I could go back to the old days and name basically every episode.
Okay.
But I think I know who the most streamed one is. Is it still the same one it's been for a long time?
No.
Oh, so she got replaced?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was still Erin Bent.
No, that's the for the YouTube channel. That wasn't even a podcast.
Oh, okay.
That was YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube wise, yeah, she's still number one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, she should be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oof. I don't know that one.
It's a more recent one.
Okay.
Like it happened within the last 90 days.
Oh. Shit, I'm really bad with names, and like a lot of those you did.
Yeah.
And I mean, I follow along, and I try to catch up and watch them, but yeah, I'm bad at remembering those.
It was Cassidy Pope.
Oh, okay.
By far, she is.
I've seen a lot of because I get like our Facebook and YouTube analytics still because I'm whatchamacallit on those, and I have seen quite a bit of stuff on hers.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah, her podcast is like the video format didn't do as well as I thought it would.
Yeah.
But I also think I released it a little too early.
Okay.
As far as like because not that she wasn't culturally relevant, but people weren't checking for her when we released the podcast.
Right.
And she released her new album a couple days later, and then it was that was it. And luckily,
that's cool.
Luckily, it takes a little bit for podcasts to kind of grab. Whereas videos, if it's been sitting there for a couple of days and not doing anything, it gets buried straight at the bottom.
Right. So. It's short attention span time, Internet basically created the short attention span.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't create it, but it helped it.
Yeah.
Helped it grow.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, so that's the number one
nice
podcast.
That's cool.
I was going to sit here and see.
I got about half of them.
Yeah, I was going to sit here and try and see if we could do a back and forth and see who couldn't name a podcast first. And I was like, I would probably.
Oh, you'll win because you've done way more than I have,
But then again, I probably couldn't name that many just because trying to do it point blank like that, it's like.
Right. I'm just bad with names,
yeah.
Quite honestly. You can be like, that guy, we talked about this. I could tell you the whole damn podcast, but I couldn't tell you his name.
Yeah.
So
it's just one of those things where it's like, it is what it is.
Right.
That's all that it is.
Yep.
So, but no, it's been cool. And, 9 years, that's fucking wild.
Right.
It's
been some good growth.
Yeah.
And it's been all organic. Like we've never paid for growth and we've never like all of a sudden taken off out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like every single like and stuff was like organic and pushed the right way.
I mean, early on we tried to do some stuff on YouTube, but it just like that easy shortcut stuff just wasn't going to work. And
right.
So,
not for what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of content that benefits from that, but not this.
Yeah. And so luckily now we're like we're on a plateau right now as far as YouTube goes.
Yeah.
But it's also it's been really hard for me to kind of get new content, like new content ideas. Like I want to do docs, I want to do like all these cool ideas, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of like,
right.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money, a lot of work.
Yeah, like I had this idea of going and finding a luthier, and doing like the story of the creation of a guitar, which because like that's a very personal thing for a lot of musicians.
Yeah,
and I thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of showcase that entire like process.
Yeah,
but there aren't too many luthiers around.
No, and there's one guy in Massachusetts. I want to say I want to say it's Sheffield or Springfield.
Okay.
maybe, and he's a world-renowned luthier for repairs. He's the guy where if you have a guitar from like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's got damage, that's the guy that's going to fix it.
Yeah.
And it's to the point, like, he's so good at restoring that it's like you can almost sell it for full price again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he does that good of a job. I've always wanted to go visit him and talk to him.
Yeah.
It's been a dream of mine for years. I read about him in a guitar magazine probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, damn, that's the guy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you see a lot of these companies out there that are just kind of making guitars.
Yeah.
But they're like, it's not the same it's not like the acoustic wood, like somebody like.
Well, there's a huge difference between mass production and like handcrafted. That's why you have your major brands, which are almost all like mass produced.
Yeah.
You know, but then you have your what I call boutique brands.
Yeah.
That like only people that buy high end stuff have usually heard of, and those are like you order it and it's like made to fit. Like they like, okay, sir, I'll take your order, and then they start making your guitar.
Yeah, like, and they're taking measurements and like all this stuff. Which those are the kind of people that I want to talk to.
Right.
Everybody I keep finding in Texas it's either like they mainly do repairs.
That's a big part of the work.
Yeah, or it's those companies that are just doing like high resin, like they're doing resin molds and then doing cool things with the color and it's like, that's cool, but that's not really what I'm looking for.
Right. And those are, I don't know, I know a lot of people like those resin instruments and stuff, but to me it doesn't have the same tone and the same sound.
And that, or the ones that they're using, like they're like very gimmicky in the way of like, oh, we took a little New Mexico license plate and
Right, and those are neat to hang on your wall and pull out for like a song or a show or something. But yeah, they're not like working guitars. You know,
it's almost like, you remember when we went down to Tallahassee and we did What's His Face inside that vintage.
Oh yeah. The gentleman that now has passed.
What?
Talking about the older guy.
No. No. We went to the vintage store, the young kid.
Okay.
And he was playing slide guitar with a 2-string gas can guitar.
I remember that.
Like, that's the kind of stuff that, like, even the more folky stuff where it's like they're just making instruments by
anything.
Yeah. Like, even that would be better than going to these mass-produced, like, almost gimmick guitars.
Right, and it's just like factories.
Yeah.
Is all it is. Like, there's really no creator. There's the guy that designed it, and then there's the process.
Yeah.
You know? And most of the time, the engineers are just designing the process, not the actual product.
Yeah. And there's no saying if it's going to be, like, good or sound good or anything.
That's right. I'm still 50-50 on, like, the acrylic drums. Have you seen those? The clear, like, plastic. They call it acrylic, but it's plastic, guys. Those drums, like, I've messed around with a couple of kits, and I've known a few people that own kits. They're okay. They still that wood tone. Like, I can hear the difference. I know most people can't.
Yeah.
Most people cannot tell the difference in tone, especially if you don't play an instrument between one thing and another. But I can, and it, like, you know, to my ear, it's just not the same thing.
Yeah.
Not as bad as an electronic kit. Don't get me wrong, but not quite the same as like a good like wood kit. It doesn't have the same timbre, you know.
Whenever you say that, I remember the time that I called out Amy's Not Breathing for not recording their own drums.
Yeah.
On their EP or whatever it was they recorded.
And that happens more than you know.
Yeah.
There's another local band where it's like literally just one person recording it all, and then the others play it live. Yeah. And it's kind of weird to me. Yeah. Because if I was like the drummer in a band, and like it was time to record like new music, and they were like, no, this guy's gonna the singer or the guitarist or whatever is gonna record all your drums. I'd just be like, well, then just play that at the show. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even want to participate in that. Yeah. But that's me. Teachers their own. I mean, if you're out there making music and you're happy, I ain't, you know, I'm not hating on you or nothing. I'm just saying, like, I want to be a part of the creative process. I want to write my part and stuff, you know, teachers their own.
Especially if it's a fixed band where if it's a fixed band where it's the same lineup every time you go out.
Not like a hired gun scenario.
Yeah. Like, it's like they need to be in that process.
Right.
It's like,
right, exactly.
Whereas, like, out in Nashville, there's a lot of musicians where it's like musician's name and then just whoever's backing them up. Like, they have their go-tos.
Right. They're like studio guys, but for live.
Yeah.
Like,
And then they go into the studio and they'll use session music.
Right.
So it's like,
right.
I get all that.
But that's like a whole different thing on its own.
Yeah.
Like
it's like they're coming to see you. They're not coming to see Jared on guitar.
Right. But if you're a band with like a band name and it's the same people, then everyone should be writing their own parts. Everyone should be a part of the recording and creating process. You know,
take note, Roswell.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I said, I'd have sour feelings if like I show up and they're like, no, we already recorded all your parts. I'd be like, well, then what do you need me for? You know,
why are you wasting my time?
Right. And I like to get creative. Like it's funny whenever Carlos, a guitar player, or even Jocelyn, the bass player, when they come to me with a new riff and stuff, first thing I do is I play it the exact same way. I call it vanilla. Play it vanilla, the same way every drummer would play it.
Yeah.
And then I go from there and I'm like, where can I add flourishes? Where can I add this? Where can I add accents and stuff? And then I kind of turn it into my own thing. So in the initial process, I go vanilla because you got to start somewhere. You got to find your basic backbeat. Yeah. You got to find your time and your tempo. And then once I have that, I'm like, no, I'm going to get creative with it. And I treat it like an instrument, like, you know, a bass or a guitarist will throw in a little extra note, a little fill. I do the same thing. Like, you know, I try not to just stick to my hi-hat, kick, and snare for everything. Like, and I, you know, like the toms, a lot of drummers only use them for drum fills. I like to use them as part of my beats and, you know, part of the process. So it's just me, you know.
That's fair. You know, it's one of those things where it's like everybody's got their own thing.
Right. As a musician, that's just how I am. You know, I like to play my drums as notes because I was a bass player for so long. So I'm still thinking of it that way. Even though I'm on a drum kit, I'm still thinking of like, oh, I'll do a run up. Oh, I'll do a turnaround. I'm just doing it with a different instrument.
Yeah, I got you. That's fair. And are you guys recording right now, or?
No, we're talking about it. We got a local guy that we haven't worked with him. He's got a recording and engineering degree and stuff, and he's a good dude. And he's offered to record a few songs for free for us, just to show what he's got. So we might go in and do like a short EP or a long single. I don't know, 3 songs.
So now you guys are starting to get more studios back in town?
I wouldn't say that.
No?
It's just someone that we just recently met and stuff, and he's been here for a while. He doesn't have like a studio set up that's like for hire.
Yeah.
It's just he has his own home studio, and he went to school for it. He records his own stuff, things like that. So we're gonna try him out.
Yeah.
And see what he can do.
Nice. That's cool. Roswell's an interesting place like that because they've got, you've seen it where you got people that are from Roswell and then they come back when it's convenient for them.
Right.
And it's like, you've been out in freaking San Francisco doing lounge singing for 6 years.
Yeah.
Now you're coming back like you'd done something.
Right.
Or, you get these people that have a $500,000 worth of recording equipment and they're like, oh, I'm a studio, or like I can record anybody, and they don't know the basics.
They don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
It's like, great, you got all this stuff, but if you don't know how to use it, what good is it?
Yeah. I remember when I was still living here, there was a guy that was running around. He had like blue mic everything and like all this stupid expensive stuff.
Yeah, I know he's talking about it. He was like, I got the best of everything, and it's like, well, you don't really need that.
Yeah.
I was taught, as an engineer, how to use everything and anything and get a good sound and get a good product. But he seriously lacked in the mixing and mastering department. And I haven't even heard of him in a while. Honestly, I don't even know if he's still doing that or what.
I don't know. Knowing this place, he found out he couldn't make any money.
Yeah.
He probably still has the equipment.
Right.
He's holding on to that one because he probably still goes to his friends and says, oh, yeah, I record music. And it's sitting there.
I still prefer to go to somebody else, even though I'm fully capable of recording, mixing, and mastering my own music. I still prefer, because it was the way I was taught. Like, you want that separation.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the artist and all 3 engineers, because technically, recording engineer, mixing engineer, and a mastering engineer are 3 different jobs.
Yeah.
Like in the
grand scheme of things.
Well, in the real world of recording, that's how it works.
Yeah.
You go into a studio and you track everything.
Yeah.
And then they send it to another guy. And then he mixes it all, and then they send it off to another guy, and he masters it all.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just doing all in one bundles because it's way cheaper.
It's way cheaper.
But in the industry where you have a record label backing you, there's a 3-step process. Because you want 3 different opinions. You want 3 different like people that are good at what they do, and this guy only specializes in tracking. This guy only in mixing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you get a better product that way. Of course, that's what gave us the loudness wars and the compressed music we have nowadays. But that is kind of how it's supposed to be, and that's how they taught it in the books. When I learned.
Yeah.
So I still stick by that. Plus, it's an easier process as a drummer, especially, to not be trying to man a board and record. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Big headache.
You'll subconsciously favor yourself over, like, even if you don't intentionally do it.
Right.
Like,
right.
When it comes to a band mix, it's like, oh, let's.
Yep. Well, and a lot of bands fall into, like, the music never gets done.
Yeah.
It's never done. Like, they're always re-recording a part or remixing a part or changing this and that. Works much better when you have a studio that's like, listen, you get 2 revisions and then I start charging you after that. Let's get it right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'll send you the track. You tell me what you think and we fix it. And then, you get 2 of those before it starts costing you more. And usually because we're paying out of our own pockets, most of us, we're like, all right, we're going to, and then you really listen hard and you really like get it across to him. And, when we worked with Chris in the past, most of that stuff was either perfect on the first listen or took 1 revision and knew exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
And it's just much easier and much faster to get to the release when somebody else is doing it. I've fallen into the same trap where in the past, when I recorded my own music, I'm always tweaking, I'm always this, I'm always that, and the music never comes out, never gets released, you know. You don't have a real deadline.
Yeah.
So it's just much better. I prefer still to this day going to a whole nother like studio and stuff. And
when it's one of those deals where it's like, if you're the one in charge, like you said, there's no deadline.
Right.
But it's also gives you the this battle of perfection almost.
Right.
It's like, I don't know.
Right. And you're never going to get it to what you consider perfect. You never will,
It's a never-winning battle. Like I've had several musicians on the podcast that said they'd been working on this song for 3 years,
right?
Because they were doing it themselves. And like nothing wrong with doing it yourself when you can't afford any of that.
Exactly, and you got to put something out, like some kind of product.
I get it, but at the end of the day, just fucking do an acoustic bit. Like,
right, exactly. 3 years to release one song—that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's why, you go to a studio, you tell them what you want and what you expect, and it should be like a 3 to 4 week turnaround, and you have a product.
Yeah. Well, and that's why you see in a lot of situations, and I don't necessarily I'm not taking jabs at anybody or any of this stuff.
Hey, we've both been in the industry long enough where we can give this kind of constructive criticism.
Especially when it comes to like female musicians, they'll marry or get in a serious relationship with a studio person, somebody that's like
or a producer.
Yeah. So in that way, they get all that stuff and still have that power of somebody else handling their music.
Right.
But then they still have that control of like, oh, he's going to do what I tell him to do. Because,
right. Well, and you get a discount when you're sleeping with them.
Yeah.
I mean, teachers their own. I ain't judging.
It's just one of those things where it's like every time I hear somebody say, oh, yeah, my husband or my boyfriend's the producer, and it's just fuck.
Right.
Like, not that that's a bad thing. Like, I get it,
but it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Because I know as an artist, right, when I go out and play a show or I go out and I do like public events, I have to be a different person. I got to be that rock star guy on stage. I have to be outgoing. I got to be flirty. I got to make everyone laugh. You know what I mean? And having your significant other right there. Now, my wife's totally cool. She does not mind any of that. She knows what I have to do and what I have to be.
Yeah.
But there is that conflict of interest when your producer or your manager or whatever is your significant other. It's hard to do that, especially if you're a female artist.
Yeah.
And it's very unfortunate the industry works this way. But you got to sell yourself.
Yeah.
Like almost like a sex symbol now as a female artist. And like I said, I don't agree with it. But that is how it works.
Yeah.
And, you got to dress sexy. You got to be flirty. You got to make everyone want you. And it's really hard to do that and be that person when your significant other's there. And then if that person has jealousy issues or anything like that, it's a big problem.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily have an issue with, like, your significant other being, like, your merch person or your manager. Like, whatever.
Hey,
it's just when...
You work with who you work with,
I don't necessarily have that because I know a lot of people that do that. Like they're
Right.
Especially if they've been in the industry for a good little bit. It's like, I'm not going to pay somebody to be my manager, but
no, not when this person I trust and care for can do it. You know?
It's a whole trust thing.
Right.
They know 9 times out of 10 they're not going to intentionally screw them over.
Right. Well, and they don't have to worry about giving up a big piece of the pie because it's still staying home.
Yeah.
You know.
So it like I get that aspect, but
Right.
it's just when it comes to, for whatever reason, whenever your producer is your significant other, that does not sit well with me.
Right. Right. Well, and then you got to think down the road too, because nothing's forever. Things happen, and then what if the breakup has an extra level of professionalism added to it, and that's like just a big complication.
Yeah, because then you're like let's say,
well, at least if you're married, you could split things in a courtroom and do it that way. But if you're not married and it's just a handshake deal, then it's like who owns what, who gets what. Like, it becomes an issue.
Yeah, it really does.
Can become an issue. I'm not saying it will.
And I mean, for the most part, luckily, everybody I've talked to and everybody that has, at least in front, made those comments that, oh yeah, my husband's my producer, my girlfriend's my, like whatever.
Right.
Luckily, nothing bad has overly happened.
Right.
They're doing it on such a small level that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But once you get to a certain point, you do not.
Once real money's involved, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Like, say you do make it, you get on the right soundtrack, you get on like the right show, the right anything.
Yeah.
Your career goes from here to here, like overnight.
Yeah.
You probably want to think about hiring somebody, a third party on for that kind of stuff, because it can become an issue.
Yeah. And it,
when real money is involved, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. Like, you get to that level, you want professionals, you want people that aren't personally related to you.
You're going to end up losing deals if you.
Exactly. And if things go sour, it could be your brother and sister, and the second you have a falling out, things get weird. Things get complicated. Now, if it's just someone you hired on, a professional that outside of your business relationship, like they don't come to Christmas dinner, they don't come to birthdays, that kind of thing. It's just easier if things have a falling out. Sorry, sir, you're fired.
Yeah.
We're parting ways.
Yeah.
Way easier than having to do a breakup and getting rid of them and finding a new manager. Like, it just, I don't know. Like I said, to each your own. If it works for you, it works for you. More power to you. And I'm glad if it works, because you're getting an advantage over other musicians, which is what this game is about.
Yeah.
But you do got to be wary of the red flags and the complications.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You got to at least know those up front.
Yeah, for sure. And then, like, the interesting thing, like, I mean, I guess even when musicians date each other, like, I mean, I guess that makes sense in a lot of ways, just because the only other person that's going to understand your schedule is a fellow musician.
Right.
But even then, it's all about that communication thing, because it's like, I can't tell you how many relationships I've fucked up because, I'm leaving for 2 weeks to go here.
Yeah.
And I may not be able to talk to you because.
Right, because I'll be busy and traveling and this and that. Yeah.
And that goes over like a wet fart in church.
Yeah. So. Luckily, I found the right woman that's totally cool with a lot of that kind of stuff. She gets it. And we stay in contact anyway. But, like I have that, like a similar situation in my bands. Like, my guitarist and my bassist are a couple.
Yeah.
But it's worked for us.
Yeah.
Like, they're really good about not letting like personal stuff carry into band stuff. And
there was a couple times where I thought that was going to become an issue, but luckily it hasn't.
So. No, it's been perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, on that front at least, So, like I said, guys, like, I'm not saying, don't do this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm just giving advice and I'm just talking, but you got to be aware of those things,
Yeah, for sure. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah, especially if you're young and just coming up.
Just,
a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-old girls meet a guy that's like, early 30s. He's a producer. He's got his own recording equipment. They fall in love. It just saying, it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, because no,
I can name a handful of those, but I won't.
I'm not even going to bring it up because I've seen so many situations where they go or somebody goes and gets married, and then all of a sudden, I'm not doing music anymore. It's like,
yeah.
You were literally one step away from being like crazy successful, and you just walk away.
That's why I won't walk away. Even though I got a family and I got, a career, a job, and everything. Like, it's still a hobby to me. Like, I'm not looking to make it big or anything like that, or be famous, or it'd be nice to live off music and not have to work a day job. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But the more since I started treating it like a hobby, and I just kept it like I want to play music with my band and with my friends and create, and we'll still put out albums, we'll still play shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not my main
thing.
It's not what's like supporting me. We've had much bigger and better things happen for us.
Now, are you guys at the point yet where you're each pulling, or are you still just putting everything back in?
We just no, we here and there, like one of us will need a couple bucks out of the band fund. Like we'll be out at an event together and be like, hey, can the band buy me a drink, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The day before payday kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's totally fine. But for the most part, everything goes into the band account, just so we have that. Like when we're on tour or somewhere as a band, because sometimes we go out and just to show local shows to support our friends as a band. Like, oh my God, all the GDP's here to support us, that kind of thing. And then, we'll do like dinner and drinks on the band kind of thing. Like, we want to have fun, and that's why we do that. So we have travel money, we have hotel money, we have gas money, all that, and we can eat and drink and be merry and have a good time. And it's not coming out of anyone's pocket.
Yeah.
The band makes enough money to make that possible.
Yeah. As long as you're not doing it every night. But,
Right, exactly. And, it paid for all our recording and everything we've done that you see, all our merch, everything, nothing came out of anybody's pocket, and none of us paid for anything. And if we did, it got reimbursed from the band later.
Yeah.
There have been instances where Will paid out something and then just took it later.
Yeah.
And it was just a convenience thing, really, not because the band was broke.
It was because he didn't have the band card or whatever.
Right, exactly. Like, we have a debit card that says gross domestic people on it, so...
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Itself.
We treat it and run it like a business. Yeah. It works for us.
I mean, I think you're starting to see a lot of musicians take that lesson and treating it like a business.
Right. Well, it's some old advice.
Yeah.
We're going back to like old Rick Rubin days and people like that, like giving that advice.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing is you're starting to see people because I remember 2020, 2021, the big war against Spotify and the payouts and all that stuff. And I mean, that's always going to be... We
lost that one.
It's always going to be an issue.
Right.
But in reality, Spotify isn't doing anything that the music business hadn't been doing for 70 years.
True, but it's a different level because record sales used to mean something. Now streams mean nothing.
Streams mean nothing.
And you got like the top streamers bitching they're not making nothing. We're talking like people like Snoop Dogg are like, I got like $40 from that. You're like, I'm not saying that's how much he made, but that's kind of ridiculous. Someone that when he started his career had to sell albums and made millions of dollars selling albums.
Here's what I keep telling musicians though.
Has Spotify ever paid out $1 million to a single artist?
Has radio ever paid out $1 million to a single artist?
No, but they did. A lot of artists do get money funneled to them because the radio stations pay for a licensing, and then that company is a holder, and they pay, and it does trickle to their record company, and they do get a tiny little piece of it.
Because here's what I keep telling musicians: you need to treat Spotify like modern day radio.
Right.
Spotify isn't doing anything that radio hasn't been doing for 60 years.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's like, well, it's a singles-driven industry. It's like it's always been a singles-driven industry.
Of course it has.
Singles make or break artists, left or right.
Well, in the old days of recording, you had to put out a good single to get an album.
Yeah.
Nobody was giving you an album deal.
Yeah.
Look at Richie Valens.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. He had to go out and put out. He wasn't allowed to record La Bamba right off the bat. He wasn't even allowed to record a single, his own original.
Yeah.
He had to record an established song.
Yeah.
And if that did well on the radio, now you can record one of yours.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yeah. It's one of those things where the industry hasn't changed.
Right.
It's just the format has changed.
Right.
And so you need to treat Spotify like the modern day radio.
Yeah.
Yes, it doesn't pay out as well as radio, but the difference is radio, it plays whenever the programmer tells it to. Spotify, it continually plays.
Right. Well, and at least with Spotify, they pay directly to the artist.
Yeah.
In the cases where it is like with us, we're independent. You know. Whereas like with the radio, basically they paid out to the record label in the end, and then the record label would give a little tiny chunk of that. You know.
But what I'm getting at is full projects are still viable.
Of course.
Especially if you're a band out touring.
I still believe in the full album.
A full album is still very viable.
Yep.
Stop putting it up on fucking Spotify.
Right. If you don't like what it pays, then don't put it there.
Put your singles out on Spotify because you need to. But at the end of the day, if you're a band that's touring 6 months a year or in 6 month sprints, and then, those DIY punk bands,
right,
how they kind of do it, you need to be pimping the shit out of your records.
Yeah.
CDs, vinyl, whatever it is you got to do, pimp the shit out of that and use
merch.
Use your Spotify as promotional.
Right, exactly. And you got to have a strong merch game.
Yeah.
You really do, because the pay from shows is going to vary, and that's the money you should be using to get to the next show, to eat, to pay for your hotel, your gas, and everything. It's the merch money that you should be kicking back and saving, because that's the real money.
Yeah. Not saying to never put the album out on Spotify.
Right.
Wait 6 months. Like, release it as a hard copy, tour off it, make your money.
Yep.
Then release it on Spotify.
Right. Well, and then you have like a physical sale count. I know physical sales are a weird thing now. Most people only buy them to support the band and never actually even play the medium. It's very rare. Like, you know how vinyl sales are coming back? You know that's genuinely just for collector?
Yeah.
Like, very few people actually listen to the vinyls they buy.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I mean, I got the money in the end. I don't care if you listen to it or not.
Like, that's the thing. That's
not to be rude, but
at the end of the day, that's what they like. It's just everybody's, and I understand everybody's in a different situation.
Right.
Like, not everybody's out there touring. Not everybody can afford to put out an album.
Right.
But at the end of because I've seen a few bands do this, where they'll release their full album as a physical copy. Let's say September 10th.
Yeah.
A band's releasing a full physical copy. They'll put the first single up on Spotify. 2 months later, they'll put the second single up on, and then they'll do the trickle-down release.
Right.
But if you go to their show and buy their hard copy, everything they're about to release for the next year and a half, you could have right now.
Yep.
And it appeases two purposes.
Yep.
You got the people that want to support you, want to buy your records.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I'm listening to music nobody else has heard right now.
Or there's other ways, not using Spotify, but using other mediums where you can simultaneously release it with the hard copy, but you still have to buy the hard copy to get the code to get into the digital.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing more bands doing that, and I kind of like that, because I remember I floated that idea years ago. Like, basically, because of the rise of streaming and the rise of digital music, you're going to make a lot more on physicals. You want to sell physicals. Everybody does. But what you should be doing is including it with the sale. Like, you buy a CD, a cassette even, or a record, because there's a lot of nostalgia in those. Like I said, most people don't have a cassette deck or a record player or even a CD player anymore. So they're not going to listen to it. So you should include that so they're at least going to listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing if it's on Spotify and they can find it there and they bought one just to help you out and support the band. That's totally cool. But keeping it off Spotify will kind of like funnel it down to where you're actually making money.
Yeah.
Instead of, and then once you at least get back the money that you spent on recording, whatever it may be, then release it.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to care so much about the returns on the Spotify.
At the end of the day, your real money made as a musician is in your live shows.
Right. Oh, it always has been.
At the end of the day. And the musicians that are out there doing this as a living by themselves without anything are the musicians that are playing shows religiously, are out touring all the time.
Yeah, they're playing like 5 out of 7 days a week.
Yeah, and not playing just in Nashville 5 out of 7 days a week.
Right.
They're playing Nashville, they're playing Atlanta, they've got a nice little 3-week loop that they do.
They're willing to take like the shows with only 3 people and the shows with 300 people. Like, they're willing to just keep at it.
Yeah.
You play a show with 3 people and all 3 people buy a T-shirt and a CD, but then you play a show with 300 people and nobody buys anything. Guess which one you made more money off of? More profit.
3 people. Yeah.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter about turnouts. It matters about what do you got for sale.
Yeah.
Like, because there's a lot of artists that have amazing music, really good talent, but they go out and play shows and they got nothing to sell you.
Yeah.
No physical copies, no shirts, no hats, nothing, dude. Not even a keychain. And it's like, how are you making money?
Right.
Like, I get it. You get paid for a gig, which I hope you're getting paid for your gigs, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a few $100 usually for a solo acoustic artist, which is great. That's good money for one day's work. But you got to have something to sell them.
Well, I was talking to a buddy of mine. He was helping a festival kind of get some promotional stuff in line. And the guy that was running the promotion was also the guy that was booking bands and stuff like that. And
okay.
This is a pretty decent sized festival, so they should be able to pull in some decent names. And they were showing me the rundown for their festival, and it was a bunch of Nashville recording artists,
right,
that I'd never heard of. And you go on their Spotify, and they've got like 2,000 followers, and I think 10,000 was the most I saw, and they've got a little bit of a social following.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, man, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this again next year because bands have just gone up in price for live shows. Like, I think we paid $50,000 a piece for our each night's headliners and co-headliners.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, y'all better have gotten, like, one of them was Sonny Saucedo, which that's a pretty decent name. Like, if he's only charging you $50,000, that's not a terrible deal.
It's not like the city of Roswell. They pay $150,000 for an artist that like has less than 1,000 followers on Spotify. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Sorry, Roswell, but you probably shouldn't let government people book concerts because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And then, like, I was looking at these things. I was like, dude, if you want to do this again next year, hit me up. I'll get you in touch with, if you're okay with paying $50,000 for an artist, I'll get you in touch with people that are actually worth the $50,000.
Right. Well, and like, dude, find a better talent buyer then, because the right talent buyer can get you better for cheaper.
Yeah.
A bigger name for less than that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I guarantee you, we're doing a podcast with Austin Williams. He blew up on YouTube with the 90s hip hop mashup, country mashup. I guarantee you, if I were to like, hey, I don't know what his cost is, what he charges. Yeah. I guarantee you, even if he costs more than $50,000, I'd be like, yo, I got a guy that he does this thing down in Texas here. He can only pay you $50,000. I guarantee you, if it's in the middle of if it's on an off day, in the middle of a tour, you're telling me a band that's already coming through Texas on an off day,
they do pretty good,
isn't going to pick up a $50,000 show? Right.
Exactly.
So, it's just one of those things where it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop.
Well, it's like a few years back when they did UFO festival. Yeah. Now they do like the city does its own big show. And that's where they get like the $100,000 or $50,000 acts that no one's ever heard of. But then they do like the small like courthouse lawn shows. I wouldn't say small, but because they technically courthouse.
$150,000. I guarantee you could have gotten Tool out here.
I know, and there's always like a bigger crowd at the courthouse than there is out at the place where that band's playing. Yeah. It's always like dead out there. Yeah. All that money gets thrown right out. It's crazy.
Because they do the courthouse and then they do all the way down by Second.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's,
or past Second, whatever.
I forget. It's one of the big outdoor, the Wool Bowl. That's where they usually do the big name act is out there.
Okay.
The last couple of years at least. Nobody goes there. Like, there's more people on the courthouse lawn. But anyway, a few years back, these two girls, and they're really talented. I forget their names, honestly. But they had a song they had come through Roswell, like visiting while on tour.
Wait, is this the girls that they
wrote a Roswell song? Yeah, 1947.
Like
something.
Their car broke down or something.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And they wrote a song about Roswell, and it kind of went like at least locally viral. Yeah. And they were out of Florida and stuff. Well, the following year after that blew up and went viral, and everyone here was sharing it. It was a great song. I'm not knocking them. They did a good job. They paid them like $5,000 to come out and headline the UFO festival. Yeah. There was 25 people on that lawn watching. Yeah. When they played, I'm like, come on, man. I'm not knocking them, but the city kind of like screwed them with that one. They paid them well. Don't get me wrong. They could have played to nobody and they walked away with money. Yeah. But The city should have done a better job getting people on that lawn.
Well, it's one of those.
That's your headliner, and you let nobody. Dude, we played the night before in the same slot and had like 75, 80 people out there. You know what I mean?
Here's the issue with Roswell and the UFO Festival. The city doesn't give a shit.
No, it's a cash cow for them is all it is.
Yeah.
The GRT they receive during that is like a big percentage of their year.
Yeah. It's like all the hotels are super booked.
Right. Oh, yeah. Lodger's tax gets folded right up that week.
Yeah. And it's just like, y'all still don't know how to fucking book this thing.
No.
Like, the first play I would make, be like, okay, this is our budget. Hey, Josh, here's our budget. We want you to do this. Like,
they should have stuck with Josh, quite honestly, because they started going with somebody else, and that's when we started, like, paying an exorbitant amount, and I say we because it's coming out of the taxpayer's pocket.
Yeah.
For like acts no one's ever heard of,
yeah.
and they intentionally stick to like genres. Like it's like they insist it has to be like a country, and then it's a high note. And I get it, you want to cater to the Latinos here and stuff like that too. But you know, you could bring out one rock band that would pull both of those crowds in, plus everyone else that would never ever attend a single one of those events.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for the amount of money they spend on two no names, they could have got one big name that like 80% of the city would have been there for. You know what I mean? Like, and they're booking concerts through committee, which is the worst possible thing you can do.
Yeah.
You know, and then the government in general, I don't care what level of it, is just bad at stuff. They're incompetent. They spend more money than they need to achieve less results.
And they don't have anybody here that can market anything worth a damn. And
right.
Like, I mean, I will give them credit. You drive down Main here, and it's becoming more visitor-friendly.
Right. Oh, dude, Roswell is a household name almost worldwide.
Yeah.
And nobody here knows how to market that correctly.
You know,
it's already built in.
You know how many times when I tell people, oh, I'm going to Roswell this weekend, well, I don't get picked up by aliens, you know?
Right. Exactly.
Like, it's... Even when I talk to people internationally, it's like they'll talk about, oh, yeah, I'm working on a tour. I'm going from San Diego to, I don't know, Dallas.
Right.
And I was like, oh, you're going to spend time in New Mexico? It's like, yeah, we want to. We're going to try and get into Roswell. You know, and it's just like Roswell is a destination.
Exactly. It may be just a day stop. Because it's really like not a lot to keep you here for multiple days.
But that's the city's fault.
Right.
Like,
right. Exactly.
You grew up in Massachusetts, so you'll relate to this.
Yeah.
Take one of these dying fucking farms out here that for whatever reason, they're still there, but they're not making any money. They're not doing fucking
Don't
anything.
take it. Buy one. No. Yeah.
Buy one of these.
Eminent domain.
Yeah. Buy one of these farmlands out here. Turn it into a 1950s reenact or when the 40 whatever the crash happened.
40s like recreate the base kind of thing.
Yeah,
like how it looked.
Like a reenactment of the crash. So you pull in.
See, the crash happened out in the middle of nothing and nowhere. So it's.
But what I'm getting at is like I'm sure you had them in Massachusetts because we had them in Illinois where you go to like these settlements.
Oh yeah.
And you walk in and it's like it's 1882.
Well, we had Old Sturbridge Village.
Yeah.
First settlement in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I mean, first settlement on that side of the country. Because I know Santa Fe was older. The conquistadors came up and all that. But anyway, during the colonial days, that was like the original.
Yeah.
And we went there for school field trips and stuff.
Like every year.
Right. Like during grade school, and you go in and it's basically a reenactment of what life was like at that point in time. And then like we had a lot of Civil War reenactments up there. Like that. Like so we did have a lot of that kind of
stuff. Basically imagine
nobody here would ever know how to even like begin to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Like you're telling me you don't have a old farmer that it's just been, or a family that owns a farmland that's just been in their generations for years. They're not really farmers, but
they just rent it from them and give them a guaranteed income instead of buying it.
Yeah,
and then
just be like, hey, we're going to keep your house here, but we're going to build a whole thing back here,
right?
And just kind of figure out a way to make it work. And like, fuck,
I mean, something, dude. They got it
like that, and then I keep hearing about. Oh, Six Flags.
They'll never come here.
It's I mean, but they could. Like, I mean
they could, but we just don't have the support for something like that. So,
well,
like,
I mean, you look at a
the
lot of
support businesses, and I hate to even say it, but the
infrastructure.
The infrastructure, yeah, definitely. I mean, they just got the Reno air races here, and they don't even know how they're going to get that done.
I saw that pop up, and
it's just, I don't know, man. It just feels like something like that wouldn't last here, and it would fail, and it's due to a lot of reasons, and a lot of reasons I don't want to say on a podcast because I don't want people, oh, you're talking shit about Roswell.
Yeah, I don't see. I don't care.
I know you don't because you don't have to live here, but I do. So And once I start pointing out the real problems in this town, like, people get deeply offended because the things they have to say should deeply offend you because things are bad here.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So, I just won't go into it too far, but I just feel like anything like that wouldn't work and would end up failing here.
Like
I don't think Six Flags would come here, honestly.
I mean, yes, I agree, but they need to grow it the same way they did. Like Disney grew Orlando.
Right.
Like,
oh, dude, when Disney first started down there was nothing but dead-ass farmland. They were in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Anyone been there recently? Because I can't find a single piece of, like,
unused property.
Yeah, seriously. It's like like a metropolis now.
Disney owns an entire city.
Right. The Disney Springs or whatever?
No, Celebration.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's right next to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole community that Disney owns.
Right.
And people just buy.
It's a corporate city.
Yeah.
Corporate-owned city, which I don't encourage. I don't want more of those.
But no, what I'm getting at is,
like,
Roswell has such an opportunity here that could be to put it back on music, could be very beneficial for the music scene.
Right.
Kudos to Josh and everything he's doing.
Dude,
but he can't carry the entire thing by himself. Like, there needs to be other venues that are picking up the ball.
More is better for everyone.
Yeah.
They should be using that damn convention center that cost us millions of dollars, because that's the only place you could book, like, the next level above what Josh is booking. Yeah. Like, Josh books, like, some pretty high-level bands for the size of his place. Yeah. It gets great turnouts, and it's great time and good shows. But to go that next level up, like, we're talking, like, big level. We're talking, like, Red Hot Chili Peppers. We're talking Metallica. We're talking that level.
Honestly.
There's nowhere in town to play but that convention
football
center.
Stadium back over here, the high
school
bowl.
That's a bowl.
Is it?
I think so.
The high school football
Yeah, that's
stadium?
where they all do it, over on that side you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was... I thought the Wool Bowl was something else.
Maybe it is. I get confused a little. I'm not from here originally, so...
But anyways, the football stadium back over here... all they have to do is build out bleachers on the one side
right, on the
end
lawn.
Zone,
yeah.
And then you've got a freaking stadium.
Right.
It's not a real...
That's where they do those 4th of July UFO Fest shows. Like, when the city brings in, like, big acts, they do it out there now.
Yeah.
And it's still, like, the problem with that is that nobody goes, and it looks even emptier because how big it is. Yeah. But, like, I don't know. There's a lot of issues with it, too. Like, because there's not much support there.
Whatever happened with that amphitheater thing?
Just fell through the cracks.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
Did somebody walk away with a lot of money there?
No, because it's went to a 501c3, so it's still sitting in an escrow account.
Okay.
It has to by law.
Okay.
So nobody can, like, take that money. I know people have accused other people of doing that, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I've talked to the people that were involved in it originally when the money was collected.
Yeah.
And they've assured me everything's on the up and up. But it's at the point now that a whole new 501c3 would have to come in. There's a process for getting that money transferred to them.
Yeah.
And then the whole NIMI deal is gone now.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to rework something new. Basically, we'd have to buy it. And I don't think NIMI even wants to sell it. But they definitely are done with the idea of leasing it out and all that. Yeah. And I believe in the next year or two, they're knocking it down, everything, and leveling.
Well, I mean, it's not been it hadn't been used in the 4 years that I lived there.
Yeah,
and I haven't lived here
I've been here 11 years, and there's never been a single show there.
Yeah.
And the entire time I lived here, I heard there was a show, because I moved here in 2013. I heard the last show was 2011. It was a Pride Festival show or something, and that was the last thing they ever allowed there.
Yeah.
We tried to get it running, 14, 15 after I got here.
Yeah.
It just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
NIMI was willing to make a deal back then with a nonprofit and stuff, but I don't even know if they're willing to still do that. I think they've kind of moved on, and now I think they're waiting to just level it and they want to put in a baseball field for the girls' softball team.
Yeah.
Something like that. So right now, they only have a couple fields, so they have to share.
Yeah.
But their property, they can do what they want. It's just going to be sad to see something so cool go.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's the thing is Roswell's had so many unique venue spots that have just gone away.
Right.
Like I remember when I first started really getting involved in the scene down here, I'd hear about the shows that would happen over by the old airport.
Yeah.
Or the...
Yeah, that was basically the Unity Center, though,
yeah.
when they were doing that. And that's the other thing. We used to have the Unity Center for the up-and-coming, starting out people. And they don't do anything anymore. The Unity Center basically is an after-school program, and they do, church-related stuff that they rent out for it.
And they still got $50,000 worth of recording equipment sitting in there?
Yeah, but that's all packed up now. Yeah, they got a grant from Young Wolf to open their own recording studio, and they're to help out the local music scene.
Yeah.
Collected all that money, bought all the equipment, built everything, and then never used it.
Sick.
Yep. Which is you should get that money back, dude.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah.
It was a grant. It wasn't even a donation.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The fact that they have an entire recording studio and haven't ever recorded anything or produced anything out of it's kind of
You'd think that would be
sad.
like a clause of the grant. But
You would think, but
that just shows me that Meow Wolf didn't really care.
They didn't. They would just give him money away.
Yeah.
Because they get a huge tax break for that, which I'm not knocking them for it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just sad. It's like, man, if you're giving me that money, I'd still be using it.
Yeah. Because you had the Unity Center there for a long time. You had nothing ever really happened to the Boys and Girls Club, but what was the Senior Center or whatever?
Oh, the Adult Center.
Adult Center?
Oh, yeah, we can still rent that and throw shows there if we want, but the price is wicked high now, and it ain't worth it, and they're weird about shows, and it really ain't that good of a venue.
Yeah, because it's like a gym, right?
Yeah, it's like a giant gym. It sounds like shit in there.
Yeah.
I don't care how good your PA is. It's going to sound like garbage in there. The stage is really high. I don't know. There's a lot of issues. I didn't really care for that place as a venue.
Yeah. I wish RCLT would just pump the brakes on some of their shows every once in a while and just they could do really cool listening room style.
Right.
But then again, you'd almost have to treat it like a dinner theater or dinner theater or whatever.
Right.
But that place is set up more for.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, it's not set up for dinner theater.
I have floated the idea of doing concerts there, and they like the idea, but nobody there wants to do it.
Yeah.
It'd be one of those things where I'd have to come in and do everything and run everything and all that. And it's just a lot of work. I just haven't done it.
How many people can you fit in RCLT?
I forget. I think it's close to 300. Which for Roswell, if you can get that many, then you're fucking doing good.
And that's what I was saying. If we could get a live podcast, if we could fill out a 300-seat thing,
right.
That'd be pretty
Well,
fun.
yeah, you get invited back when you fill up that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You sell 300 tickets and talk to Josh, be like, yo, bring your liquor license over here.
Right. Well, and he works with them. They do, I don't know what's the right way to put it, the murder mystery dinners and stuff.
All the murder mystery stuff.
And they do that with the Liberty.
Yeah.
So they practice everything and they rehearse everything because they have the people from the theater doing it all.
Yeah.
And they do it at Josh's place where he does the dinner and everything. They sell the seats, and I don't know what kind of split or anything they got going, but I know they do really well.
Yeah.
They sell out most of the time.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I really like seeing them do that.
That's good on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Good on y'all for finding something that's working and
right. They've been doing those, and then I know they've been working with the Liberty as well. With so what they do is say they're putting on a play at RCLT. They'll do this thing it's a VIP thing. They can only sell a limited amount of seats, but they'll set you up at the on the stage, and the characters from the play will serve you dinner, and the dinner itself will be something related to the play. If the play took place in for example, say New Orleans. All the food will be from that time, New Orleans and stuff.
Yeah.
And they've been doing that with them as well. And I think that's a great idea. I haven't gone to one because it's pricey. It's above my range.
Yeah.
But I encourage it, man. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
If it's working for everyone, it's a really cool idea.
Yeah. Because, RCLT has always been really cool. Even when Edie was running everything there, it was She was always very professional. You know, everything was always above board.
Right.
And I like once she left, it seems like everything's been going. There may have been some growing pains there, but as with anything, when there's a shift, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and it's run by committee.
Yeah.
You know, because it's an official nonprofit with you know, board members, things like that, and I like everyone over there.
Yeah.
You know, I really do. Like, everyone there is really nice and stuff. And I volunteered for a few things, ran sound for them and stuff. And when I have time, I like to help them out. Time is becoming
not available.
Yeah, I'm a busy man.
That happens.
You know what I mean? Between family, work, and band, adding one more thing to it, it's like, oof.
Yeah, okay. At some point, something's got to give.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, I do what I can when I have the time.
For sure. Well, I'm glad that the scene seems to be stable, right? We'll call it stable.
It is. It's doing good right now.
And then it seems like the people that need to be supporting it are supporting it. And, you know, kudos to Josh. Like, I never...
Yeah. Well, you know, what's funny is the Lib Fest is a good way for us to reassess our scene.
Yeah.
Because it's all only locals, and then like what I call semi-locals, like so surrounding area, and then he'll have like it's almost always like New Mexico at least, you know. But most of it, like 85% of it's like local, Roswell, and stuff. And it's a great way for us to reassess our scene because you want to look at the overall turnout, how the bands are interacting with each other, how you know. He also has like little shops set up in there where you can buy things and stuff, how the bands are doing on merch, stuff like that is a great way for us to reassess how our scene is. Yeah. Like, you know, health wise, mentally wise. Like, and I think this year was a great year. I think our scene is strong. Yeah.
You had everybody there that's actually a contributing member of the scene.
Right, exactly.
And not shitting on the people that aren't.
Right.
Didn't play this year, but there's some people out there that just. Yeah, they're doing their own thing.
Can't get everybody to play every year, you know what I mean? And then, you know, there's scheduling and all that stuff. But this was a really good year, man. Like, it was, you know, like I said earlier, just great vibes, everyone getting along. Everyone sold stuff. Everyone you know, made some money.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's becoming a staple, which is good.
Right.
And that's all you could ever ask for at this point.
And that's since I moved here, the one thing I've been like, you guys got to learn how to make money.
Yeah.
And now everyone is learning how to make money. I'm not saying I taught them all, but that advice is
because it's also one of those things where it's different for everyone.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Some people have the ability to go to like this thrift store down the street and pull out vintage shirts and modify them and sell.
Right.
You know, people know how to do that.
Exactly. You know, you got to find your thing. To make the money.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
Yep.
But. Well, I think we're going to wrap that one up here. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I could use a cigarette.
I figured you probably could. I got a Monster, and that's sitting over here that needs to get drank.
Yeah, I got a little Monster on my shoulder saying, smoke a cigarette. Smoke one.
That's fair. But once again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Jeff, if anybody wants to check out GDP, where can they find you?
All right, so we did rebrand a little while back. It still means the same thing. GDP has always meant gross domestic people, but now we're
Granddaddy Perp.
Yeah, well, except for that. But we're basically going by the full name now, so you can find Gross Domestic People on every streaming platform, every social media platform. We don't really have an X presence, but, you know, most of the stuff we're on. Yeah. But check us out. Hit us up, man. You know, we love to talk, and we love to play. Yeah,
that would be the only advice I'd have for y'all is you guys might need to step up your social a little bit, but
yeah, we really do. I wish we just could hire somebody for it, honestly.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, especially for a band, unless you're rehearsing all the time or playing shows all the time, it's really hard to generate content.
It really is.
So, yeah, it is what it is. But you guys will find it.
Oh yeah.
You guys seem to be doing all right in the city of Roswell.
We are.
And in southeast New Mexico.
Right. And that's honestly all we care about.
Yep, fair enough. Now. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you all so much, and we'll catch you all later.
Have a good day.